Hello and welcome to today's video. Although I'm very late to the game, I know I've seen a lot of these videos go around on YouTube recently, and they went up much earlier in the month, I might add, but I thought maybe I could go through all the items that I hope to actually finish this year. This does not include items that I'm hoping to hit pan on or make progress on. This is simply items that I really wish I could finish this year. And as you can see, there's quite a bit here, so why don't we go ahead and get into it. Okay, as we get started, I'll say this again, that a lot of these items are things that I really want to finish to completion this year. Some of these items you'll recognize in current projects, but a lot of these items are not in projects yet. They're just things that I would really like to finish up completely, although I don't really know what project they might land in, or if they're going to be things that I have to finish up on my own, not putting them into projects, which nowadays is kind of hard to do because I honestly forget about products unless they're in project pans, which is not the greatest habit for a panner. I mean, it's a good habit for a panner to remember what you have in a project, but at the same time, sometimes you don't need to just only focus on things that are in project pans, if that makes sense. So we have a lot to go through here. I'm going to kind of pull randomly and just show things to you. Okay, to start us off, I did manage to pull out, I think, all the foundation items that I have. I definitely rolled this one into a recent project pan. This is my 11 favorites project pan, but this guy is probably one of my oldest in my collection at this point, and it's well past expired. I think it expired in 2019. That's how old this thing is. Now, granted, for me, it still smells fine, works fine. It's just, I think, the SPF in it that made it like expire a little bit sooner. And then I have here the Professional, like pore minimizing. It's like a liquid. It has a little ball in there. Basically it's a liquid foundation, but it's like very watery. I initially bought this after seeing just a couple reviews, and I thought that maybe it was going to be something that you could help put on your pores to kind of minimize them. It is part of the Professional line. I bought into the hype of it, and it definitely is something that I realized was definitely a gimmick. Now I know that if you don't want things to emphasize your pores, don't pile product on. This is kind of the last product that you would want to do. So probably what I'll end up having to do with this is use it kind of as like a corrector for my face, and then maybe it will pair well with a powder foundation. I haven't really tried it like that very often. Honestly, I haven't gotten a lot of use out of this, and I'm really scared this thing is going to take forever. I think the base of it is like right here. So like most of this is, I mean, it's not quite a full ounce of product. It's only a half ounce of product, but it's so liquidy that I've found in the past when I've tried to mark progress on it that it's only moved just a little bit, because you only use just a little bit when you use this product. So this is one that is definitely a gimmick, not something that I really enjoy, and I would like to kind of move it out of my collection this year. And then the last foundation that I pulled out to move out is this Tarte Hybrid Gel Foundation. This was in a year-long project pan last year. I did not finish it. I still have a ton left. This thing, it might take all year. Honestly, what I need to do is set this aside and make sure I use this every time that I do my makeup for camera. Anytime I'm getting on camera, this is typically what I've worn in the past, and it's a great filming foundation. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit more full coverage, which tends to show up pretty well on camera. Now, in my daily life, I don't tend to like something this full coverage all the time, but I need to make an effort to get this done, even though it's not in a project yet. Okay, next up I have this little color corrector here from LA Girl. This is like a peach color, and this one is a little dark for me. I have to kind of mix it with a white concealer that I have that I was using as an eyeshadow base, but this one is something that, because it doesn't really work for me, it's not an ideal product for me, I would like to kind of move it out. My concealer collection is pretty curated at the moment, so since this isn't really an ideal product for me, I'd like to move it out and be able to just have things that I'm absolutely in love with in that product category. And then I have pulled here a couple different primers. This is the NYX Hydra Touch Primer. I used to love this thing. The last couple times I've used it, it's way more fragrance than what I remember. And then this one here is the Catrice Prime and Fine. It's a mattifying primer. I don't really find that it mattifies for me. It actually honestly just feels kind of like a lotion, but maybe this will be good to mix in with like liquid highlighter. And then this here is the Touch and Glow Radiance Cream. I love this thing. I found this at TJ Maxx. This is my second bottle of this thing. It's a really nice hydrating lotion. It feels so good, and it gives your skin just a little bit of glow without being too glowy. I have about this much of it left, and so I really need to make an effort to get this gone, even though I will miss this one once it's gone. This is one that has been in my collection a little bit longer now. Not to mention also that it's larger packaging. It's 1.69 fluid ounces, so when we move back in the future, I would like to kind of get these bulkier items kind of down so that I don't have to have as much bulk in my collection or in my suitcase when we travel home. Now that same reasoning goes for these next three too. This is the Anastasia Cream Contour Kit. I don't hate this, but it's definitely just an extra step that isn't really that necessary. This is in my Partners in Cream project pan, and I am enjoying working on it for now, but this one is going to be a really hard one to finish this year. But I would be so daggum excited if this thing were completely empty. I don't know if that's realistic, but I'm trying my hardest. Now this guy here also was just rolled into my 11 favorites project pan, and as you can see, it's a very bulky bronzer. The packaging is super annoying, although the product is quite nice. I am wearing this bronzer today. It's definitely a lighter, warmer shade, but I find that I'm still enjoying it. Even in the middle of winter, I'm gonna will myself into summer, if that makes sense. So this one is one that I'm not quite sure again either if I'll finish up this year, but I'm gonna try so hard to do that. And then this here is my Oprah Makeup Fixer Setting Mist. I have kind of gotten out of the habit of using setting mist in general, but I have a feeling once we get closer to summer, I'll want that kind of glowy, more, right now I'm kind of digging the kind of matte look. So I hope that maybe towards summer I'll want more of a glowy look. I tend to do that. I tend to kind of trend that way. But this guy is definitely one that I would love not have to pack home. I have a full size of this in storage at home, so I don't need to pack this one home. This one needs to be gone by the time we move home eventually. Okay, I see another concealer here. This is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. This one is not my oldest concealer, but it is one that I'm literally almost done with. I don't know if you'll be able to see in the packaging how like worn it is. I just need to work on it and get it gone since it's so daggum close. And then I have a bunch of little mini primers and then one full-size primer here. Now this One Heck of a Blot primer was one that I loved back in the US because it was more humid environment for me and I was way more oily there. I haven't used this product as much here because my skin is way more dry in this kind of climate. So I need to kind of work on this. It's definitely getting a little older in my collection though. So maybe I could use this as a pore only kind of area right here. I do get oily in my T-zone, so maybe instead of trying to use it more, like I used to put it on a little thicker, maybe instead of doing that, I could try to just target right here on my little T-zone area and hopefully make some decent progress in this year. I would like to see it gone because it is kind of getting on up there in age. And now these here are not that old, but I have so many minis that I would like to kind of get these gone because they kind of inflate my inventory numbers, if that makes sense. So I'm working on this one. I've been working on this one for so long. I'm not done with it yet. I have another one of it. These were Point Perks at Sephora, and I'm surprised at how much use I've gotten out of these little guys. They have a ton of product in them. Now this here came in a Sephora favorites kit. This is the YSL Touche Éclat primer. I love this for travel, and part of me wants to hoard it for travel, but at the same time, again, I know, look, you have other primers that are similar, that are newer. This one is probably one of my older silicone primers, and I really do enjoy them at different points in the year, so I need to work on it rather than just hoard it for the brand name. I have a really bad habit of doing that. And then this here is the POREfessional by Benefit. Again, this is one I tend to like to travel with, but it's not my favorite, and I have other ones that are travel size that I can travel with. So I need to get over the like hoarding for travel purposes and try to work on some of these minis and get my numbers down in my primer collection, because I believe I'm sitting at like 19, and that's a lot of primer to own. Okay, the next things I've pulled out are 4 lip liners. I don't think I'll finish all 4 of these this year, but I wish. I have 2 from an Italia lip liner brand from Amazon that I was gifted a while ago. And these are not bad liners. One of them is a very nude shade and the other one's a more kind of pinky shade. I need to be working on this pink shade now. This is like the perfect time of year to use this one, and I haven't really reached for it that much recently since I've kind of put it in this basket of doom that I'm hoping to pan. But I really do need to pull it out. It's such a good shade, especially for February. That kind of pink going into like Valentine's Day would be perfect. And then I have these 2 here from Wet n Wild. These are not my favorite formula. They're a little softer than what I would prefer. I like a pencil that's a little bit more stiff, but I have 2 shades here that are absolutely beautiful. These aren't bad at all. I just find them to be a little bit more like a lipstick consistency rather than a lip liner consistency. And I need to kind of work on these. These are just, since they're not my favorite, they're just kind of sitting around collecting dust, and I would like for them to get used up versus become old and have to be thrown away because they expire. So those are those 2 shades. Really, really beautiful. Although the purple one is a little bit more difficult to wear. I don't know what time of the year, maybe fall. I need to try to pair that one with some gloss and see if I can finish it up this year, but I don't quite know if I'll finish all 4 this year. Okay, next up I went ahead and pulled out a bunch of different like eye and brow products. I have my brow products here in my 11 favorites project pan, I believe it's in. That one is one that I'm really hoping to finish up this year, although there's a ton of product in this little guy. I have a couple open mascaras that I'm hoping to finish. This is the Lash Blast Volume Mascara from CoverGirl. I used to love this mascara, and I'm definitely a little bit more underwhelmed than I was years ago when I used to use this. I think this was like my go-to mascara back in college, so it's just not as good as some other things I've tried lately. So I need to get that one gone out of my collection. Same as this Volume Stylist. I've been underwhelmed with. It's a little bit drier of a formula. Now this here is the Wet n Wild primer, and I don't really like this for my lashes, but what I find that I like it for is my brows. It helps to kind of, like a brow mascara, and it dries kind of, as long as I like brush it out, it dries clear, or it helps tone down if I go a little bit too heavy in my brows. It kind of helps tone down the color a little bit. So this one I'm hoping to use up in my brows this year, as well as this guy here. I have a ton of progress on this one. This is the Make Me Brow in Soft Brownie Browns. It's a nice color, again, to kind of tone down when I do too heavy of a brow. And the last two items here are eyeliners. I have a Wonder one from NYX. It's in a like a creamy beige kind of shade. I'm horrible at remembering to use these items in my waterline. I need to use this one. And then this one is just a black eyeliner that has been around forever. This came in the like Lorac, the Pirates of the Caribbean eyeshadow palette, and it's just been sitting around, although it's a perfectly good black eyeliner that I actually would probably enjoy using, and I just never remember to reach for these things. So I'm trying to make an effort this year to finish this one off. Okay, a couple more items. I have this liquid champagne highlight from Makeup Revolution. It's like one of the Cover FX dupes, and this one I have some decent progress on, although I just literally shook it up. It's like somewhere right in here. I just shook it up so you can't really see anymore, but this one is one that I found that I really enjoyed a long time ago, and I haven't used it in so long, and I think it's because the ColourPop concealers came into my life and I like that formula so much that I just stopped reaching for this one. So I need to make an effort to get this gone. If it's not going to be something that I actually reach for, it doesn't need to just sit around and be decoration. And then this here is one that I put into my 11 favorites project pan. I want to use this pan of eyeshadow up in my like hairline up here, so hopefully that's doable this year. I'm not quite sure. And then I have this here is the Milani Prep Set and Glow Powder. I'm thinking I might try to finish this one later in the year since I already have good pan on it. But then I also think I might end up trying to finish this too. This is a little bitty sample guy of the Kat Von D Locket Powder. I've used up a bigger version of this. Maybe it wasn't like a full size, it was like the mid-size version of this. And I remember liking it, and I would love to kind of have this little container. I don't know why. I don't really know if it makes sense to finish this powder just to have the containers still. It's not really gonna help me make room in my like luggage, but it's one that I know that it's just taking up inventory like bulk number wise, so I'd like to kind of get this one done too. Okay, and as we enter the home stretch, I have nothing but a ton of lip options to talk about. I would like to get my numbers in my lip categories down quite a bit. I am honestly a little overwhelmed by the amount of lip products that I own, so I really want to make a concerted effort to kind of cut down on those numbers and hopefully not buy anything too I don't want to go crazy with buying lip products this year. This one here is one that I almost think that I'll use up like a cream blush. This is an old, like, I think it's called Tangerine or something from CoverGirl. It's super old in my collection. I loved it, and I do still really like it. I probably will use this a lot on my lips in the fall, but I also think that this would be a great blush in the summer. It can be sheared out a good bit. I have worn it on my cheeks like as a blush, so there's a ton of product in here though. Like I don't know if it's realistic to get that done this year, but I think come summertime I'm gonna start trying to reach for this as a blush and just see what I can do. This one here is one that is pretty old in my collection. I definitely want to get this one gone. This one is the glossy formula in the lippy stick. I think this is the shade Skimpy. They don't even make this formula anymore. I think they got rid of the glossy one. I think they only have like satins and matte X and something else, but no, I don't even think they make this formula anymore, so that one needs to get used up. Now this one from Revlon in the shade Desert, it used to be a really big favorite for me. I do love this formula. I'm not quite sure if they sell it anymore, so for that reason I think I'd like to kind of just use it, work it out of my collection. I'd like to use it up before it goes bad. And then these here, this is just random, sorry. Actually, I'll show you all these little guys. I have a million of these little tubes from Ulta. They came in like a holiday set a long time ago. These are probably the oldest glosses in my collection, and some of them are wearable shades. Like some of them, I know I like this one. I know that this one is pretty sheer, even though it's like a hot pink. It doesn't look that hot pink on your lips, but these are more opaque glosses, and I don't really love them. So I'd like to kind of make an effort this year to see if I could pan these, and if I cannot pan them, they need to be decluttered. They're just taking up a lot of bulk in my like lip gloss area. So these are things that I would potentially like to finish or declutter this year. Okay, finally down to the last 3, and the first one here is an Almay lip butter in the shade like medium pink or something like that. It is bright. It is not something that looks very good on my lips, but this is one that I'm thinking, should I try to pan as a blush? I don't quite know if that's realistic. It is very pigmented. This is the blush that I used on Fonda in our like little Partners in Cream news update project pan. So if you remember, the pigment is quite strong, and I'd have to probably put this under foundation to tone it down enough to actually be wearable for me. But that means that I probably would take forever to go through. So I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I should try to pan this as blush, or is this something that, because the shade is not gonna work for me as a lip product, do I need to just let it go and enjoy the actual blushes that I own? I don't know. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you have an opinion on that, because I kind of just need a nudge in one direction or the other for that one. And then this here is a NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Tiramisu. I love this gloss. This is one that I definitely want to put in a project pan once I work through one right now that I'm currently panning. I would show it to you. I will show it to you. I recently dropped this one and broke it. It no longer stays together. I've tried to decant this into other empty tubes that I have, and so far I'm gonna try to use this up and then move on to the other ones, but oh my lord, if that wasn't just a mess to try to deal with. But once this one's done, I really want to work on that tiramisu gloss. And then the last product here is probably my oldest lipstick in my collection. This is the shade Eurotrash from NYX, and this one I think was in one of my first project pans that I ever put on Instagram. I think I did some project painting on my own for a little bit, then I tried to post some on Instagram, and this one I kind of held on to it for sentimental reason. The smell has started to change some, although it doesn't smell horrible. So this is one that by the end of the year I kind of need to either let it go because it is getting super old, or I need to have used it up. And honestly, I think I would have already let this go if I had not made so much progress on this thing. Like, I've made so much progress. It takes me so long to get through lipsticks. So there's a part of me that goes, okay, you might be able to use this up as a blush, like a nudie blush, sheared out, or especially as lipstick. Like, this was a great color on you. Why don't I try to use it up? I don't know. I think if I think critically about it, it's because it is such a matte formula and I do love a gloss, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't wear it under some gloss. So anyways, I need to kind of stop making excuses and either reach for this, use it up, or it needs to go by the end of the year. So this one will be gone by the end of the year. And with that being said, that was everything. We've gone through all of these items that I really hope to finish up this year. Like I said before, I'm not quite sure if it's realistic. Some of this just might be a little bit of a pipe dream, but that's okay. Make sure you say hello in the comments. Let me know if there are things in your collection that you want to finish up this year. And again, make sure you say hello, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.